Hey kiddos, so today we are going to learn about the noble instrument and art of playing the noble instrument of the ukulele, or as we usually like to call it, the ukulele, or the uke. So this is an instrument that was invented in Hawaii after some Portuguese sailors landed there, and they had instruments that also had strings, and the Hawaiians saw that, and they ended up making their own variation of that instrument, which ended up being this little pappy, the ukulele. I like to call this the little brother, maybe little sister to the guitar. It's always a great step towards learning to play the guitar when you learn to play the ukulele. And it's also a neat little instrument in its own right. So let us talk about how this instrument works. So you can see there are 1, 2, 3, 4 strings on this ukulele. Now, when we strum the strings, I'm going to hold this up close. I want you to watch this area of the strings to see the vibration. All right, so they're vibrating very quickly, and those vibrations travel through the strings into the saddle, which is what the strings sit in, kind of like a rider would sit in the saddle when they're on a horse. And the saddle is part of something called the bridge. And what this part does is take the vibrations of the strings and transfer them into the body of the guitar. And then they end up being amplified by the wood of the guitar. And they come out of the sound hole here louder than they would have been. So this is how this is the very basics of how the ukulele works. These are called tuners or tuning pegs, and what those do is they adjust the pitch of each string. So I'll show you. Turning them one way will make the tuning of each string go up. Turning it the other way will make the pitch go down. So you want to know what pitches these strings are supposed to be at, and you want to develop your ear for hearing correct pitches and the correct tuning of a ukulele to help you know how to use these. So, oh, that's awful. Not bad. All right, repeat after me. Green cats eat ants. And one more time, me then you. Green cats eat ants. How did you do? All right, good. Green cats eat ants is what we call a mnemonic, which is a memory device. It's a trick to help you remember something. And in this case, that thing is the letter names of each of these strings. G, C, E, and A. Excellent. Okay, so I will have a separate video on how to tune the ukulele. It's at least a 5-minute long video by itself, and I don't want to give you guys too much information in one video, so we're just going to start moving on. Firstly, how do you hold a ukulele? I like to call this Cradle the Baby. And what you're going to do, if you are right-handed, follow my instructions. If you are left-handed, you're going to have to reverse everything. I would do both for everything in this video, but then I feel like the video might be 25-30 minutes long, and we do not want that. So, you're going to take the body of the ukulele, you're going to let it sit kind of flat, sort of against your ribs, and you're going to take your strumming hand, which if you're right-handed is your right hand. If you're left-handed, if you're left-handed, it will be your left hand. Take your strumming hand, take the arm of your strumming hand, and just kind of hold the body of the ukulele with your forearm there, okay? You're cradling the baby. And you want the neck of the ukulele and the head to be up a little bit to give your fingers easy access to these strings. Excellent. Okay. Once you have cradled the baby and you're feeling secure, like you're not going to drop the baby, then I want you to learn something I call Paintbrush Thumb. So you're going to take your strumming hand, and this is the most basic strum I teach. Make sure your thumb is nice and loose. And what you're going to do is, and you can actually take your fretting hand, the other hand, put your thumb on the back of the neck and put your fingers, just rest them up here for now. We're not using them yet, but take your paintbrush thumb. Nice gentle strokes, strumming once per beat. So let's count 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Very nice. Okay, great. So in our booklet, which is on Class Drive, or if you're watching this on YouTube and you're not in my Google Class, you can just message me and I can email the booklet to you. In the booklet, most of the songs we play are either in 3/4 or 4/4 time, which means the beats in each song are either grouped into 3s or 4s. So I'll demonstrate very briefly. And while I demonstrate, actually, how about you strum along with your paintbrush thumb? We're going to start in 4/4 time, so beats will be in groups of 4. I'm going to count them as I strum. You can do the same if you like. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent. Now, a song like Fish and Chips and Vinegar is in 3/4 time, which means, or Clementine, that one's in 3/4 as well, which means that the beats will be in groups of 3. So it'll be more like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Excellent. Another name for, well, a very common and popular type of music that's written in 3/4 is a waltz. Not as common as it used to be, but a very legendary classical form. Excellent. So we have learned Cradle the Baby. We have learned Paintbrush Thumb. We have learned Green Cats Eat Ants. Now I want to teach you to make your fingers stand up and make the claw. The claw. So it doesn't mean hold your hand tense like this. What it means is our other hand, which if you're right-handed will be your left hand, is called our fretting hand. Now the job of our fretting hand is to press down on a string in between these little metal markers called frets, okay? So each one of these is called a fret. This whole area here is called the first fret, second fret, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, 8th, 9, 10, 11, 12. Awesome. So there are 12 frets on this ukulele. We don't need to concern ourselves with any of the upper ones for now. For now, any chords we learn will be mostly just using a combination of open strings and the first 3 frets. So what you're going to do to make a chord, your first chord, which is going to be a C major, you're going to number the fingers of your fretting hand. Now this is all in the booklet as well. So it might take a little while for you to get it, but when you get it, you'll get it. So finger number 1, finger number 2. I won't hold that one up by itself. Finger number 3 and finger number 4. Your pinky is finger 4. Your pointer finger is finger 1. You're going to use finger 3, which is your ring finger, and you are going to press it down so that your finger stands up like this on the 3rd fret, 1, 2, 3, of the A string. You can see this is a little bit complicated, but once you get it, you will understand it. So, oh, that's a nice sound. Excellent. This is called a C major chord. It includes the notes C, E, and G. Oh, we could just stay here for a while. This is nice. I'm imagining I'm in Hawaii. The sun is shining outside. The birds are singing. Oh, aloha. Okay, I just started to make that up. We're going to stop that song. But. Remember, you want to make sure your fingers stand up like mine are doing. So, if you're making a chord and your fingers lying down like this, might not work so well. Oftentimes when I see kids learning to do chords, their fingers aren't really strong enough yet, so they just kind of let their finger lie down. Your fingers will get stronger quickly, but you want to make sure that the fingertip is standing directly up on that fret, like right in this area between these two metal pieces. That's the 3rd fret. Excellent. So this is the C major chord. Now, I'm only fretting this note. The other 3 strings are all open. And I want to make sure that this finger is only touching this fret, because if I let it spill over, it's not supposed to be touching that string. It's just supposed to be touching the A string. But if I'm having trouble fretting it right, it's going to mess up the E string, and then I won't get a nice ringing sound. And a nice ringing sound is what you want when you play chords on the ukulele. So just remember, let it ring. And every time you try a new chord that you're not familiar with yet, take your thumb and play each string one at a time. Oh, I can't hear that, which means I must be touching it somewhere where my finger shouldn't be. Oh, aha! This finger is touching the E string. It should not be. Stand it right up on the A string. All right, awesome, awesome. So that's why I call it the claw, because your fingers might look somewhat like a claw. Don't let them lie flat. Stand them up. Excellent. All right, so now that we've learned about green cats eat ants, we've learned Cradle the Baby, we've learned Paintbrush Thumb, and we have learned the claw. It's time for me to teach you now how to read a chord diagram. Now, a chord diagram is like a map that shows you where you should put your fingers to create the sound of different chords. Now, a chord is when you have 3 or more notes that are played at the same time that sound good together. Okay? That's a simple way to remember it. Now, a chord diagram, we're going to look at the one just above me in that picture-in-picture there. Look at the C major chord. You'll see it says number 3, which means finger number 3, is on the first, 2nd, 3rd fret of the A string. Okay? We know it's the A string because it's the one that's furthest to the right on that diagram. Okay? And there are 3 little O's at the top of the fretboard on that diagram there. So those O's mean open strings. So repeat after me. O stands for open string. Good, excellent. So that means you're going to be strumming them, but you're not going to be pressing down on them with your other fingers. You're just using finger number 3, and you are going to strum with your thumb all 4 strings. Lovely. Okay. Now that we're starting to understand how to read a chord diagram, I want you to make a C7 chord. A C7 chord is a little different than a C chord. It includes the notes C, E, G, and B flat. But practically at this moment, what you need to do to make a C7th chord, take finger number 1, put it on the 1st fret of the A string, and give all 4 strings a nice strum because the other 3 are open. Nice, all right. So what I want you to do now, I want you to strum a C major 8 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then switch to a C7. See if we can do the same. Strum 8 times for the C7. I'm going to count to 4, then we'll start together. 1, 2, start together. Get ready to switch. Now switch. Switch back now. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Switch now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Switch one more time. Awesome. Okay, great. Practicing switching between chords is very important and very useful because almost every song you play is going to require that you switch between chords to get different sounds that complement the sound of your voice, okay? That complement the melody of the song you're singing. We're going to learn one more chord right now. It'll be a little bit harder. This is an F major chord. look at the diagram up there, you'll see that this takes 2 fingers to fret properly. The fingers are finger 1 and finger 2. So finger 2 is going to stand up on the 2nd fret of the G string. The C string will be open, and then finger 1 is going to press down on the 1st fret of the E string. This might hurt your fingertips a bit at first, because the closer you get to the nut, which is this white part here, the harder you have to press, because the string tension is a little bit higher. So we're fretting those 2, like in the diagram, and the other 2 will be open. Let's see if we're getting a nice ringing sound from all 4 strings. Not bad. All right, nice. The sound of an F major chord. Lovely. I want you to strum that with me 8 times, please. We're going to count to 4 twice. I'll give you a 4-beat count in. 1, 2, start together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. Now feel free to pause the video at any time. I'm going pretty quickly through this. Getting a nice ringing sound from an F major chord will be harder for most of you than getting a nice ringing sound from a C major chord. A C is pretty easy to play. An F takes a little bit of skill, but you'll get there, absolutely. So, we're gonna do one last thing with chords before we try a song, and then I think that'll bring us to the end of the video. So, what we're gonna do is we're gonna try switching between F and C7, okay? If you remember, C7 is this one, where we just use finger number 1 on fret number 1 of the A string. And we play the other strings open. Nice. We're going to switch between that and an F. We're going to start on F. Good. Ready to rock. I want you to do that too. And if you aren't getting a ringing sound, I want you to pause the video and look at your fingers. Make sure they're standing up, and that each of these 2 fingers is only touching the one string it's supposed to be touching, and the other 2 strings are able to ring nicely. It might take you a couple minutes. You might need some help from an older sibling if they know how to do it, or a parent if they know how to do it. Make sure you ask them at the right moment when they're not busy. Give it a shot. Here we go. We're going to switch between F and C7. We're going to strum F 8 times, so 2 groups of 4 beats, and then we're going to strum C7 8 times, 2 groups of 4 beats. Here we go. I'm going to count to 4. 1, 2, 3, start. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Switch to C7. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Now switch back to F. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Switch to C7. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, lovely, lovely. Practicing switching is very valuable. I'm going to teach you a very simple song, and you might groan and shake your head and go, "Oh, Mr. Voice, that's a kindergarten song, really?" Or even, "That's a 4-year-old song, Mr. Voice, really?" But it's really valuable to work on simple songs to start, because your brain already knows the melody for a song like "The Wheels on the Bus." Okay? You know that many of you know this well already, or the Eensy Weensy Spider. These are very simple songs that you can sing more easily than new songs, which gives your brain extra energy to do a challenging thing, which is making both of your hands do something different at the same time while you sing, which is part of what makes being a musician so awesome, and part of what makes being a musician fairly challenging, is because you are doing several things at once. You're singing, you are, in many cases, thinking about the words you're singing, your fretting hand is pressing down where it's supposed to and moving when it's supposed to, and your strumming hand is strumming when it's supposed to. This is pretty tough. But with practice, like with any skill, you can definitely improve at this. So let's do a little bit of "The Wheels on the Bus." We're just going to sing through the first little chunk. And then if you want to practice it, this is a great place to start. Everything we've done in this video can be found in my ukulele booklet. Beg your pardon. Let's start on F. The wheels. Oh, it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Take it nice and slow. The wheels on the bus go round and round. Switch. Round and round. Switch back. Round and round. The wheels on the bus go round and round. Switch all through the town. Let's do it one more time. A tiny, tiny bit faster, but I won't be saying switch now. Just watch for when my fingers switch. On the music that I've given you in that booklet, it does tell you when to switch chords. 1, 2, start together. The wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. The wheels on the bus go round and round, all through the town. And every single verse in that song follows the same pattern. Now, if you're finding it really tough to switch between chords, and you likely will, you can definitely look on my YouTube page for a playlist called, I think it's called Ukulele Play-Alongs. It's songs that, to the kids I've taught ukulele to already, we have played along with in class. So little ukulele play-alongs for like Thunder by Imagine Dragons, or like Best Day of My Life by American authors, and some harder ones too. And those are great for just watching and strumming along until you're able to get a little bit more dexterity with your fingers, which means until you're able to help them move a bit quicker. I think that's it for the basics. All right, so before you go, let's do a quick review of some of the main ideas that we've learned today. So this is a ukulele. It is an instrument that has 4 strings, and it comes to us from Hawaii originally. The names of each of those strings are G, C, E, A. And we remember them by singing a little tune I like to call Green Cats Eat Ants, which is a mnemonic device or a memory trick to help you remember both the names of the strings and how they're supposed to sound. Number 2, Cradle the Baby. You want to make sure the body of the ukulele is resting nicely against your ribs and supported by your strumming hand's forearm. So that'll be your right arm for people who are right-handed. If you're left-handed, switch it around and it will be your left hand, cradling that nicely. Excellent. All right. Number 3, Paintbrush Thumb. You want to make sure your strumming thumb is nice and loose and just gently stroking across all 4 strings. Excellent. Nice, gentle, mellow sound. And we learned that strums often come in groups of 4 or groups of 3. And that relates to 4/4 time and beats that are grouped in 4, or 3/4 time and beats that are grouped in 3. Excellent. All right. Number 4, we learned about the claw. And I call it the claw because I want your fingers to be standing up nice and tall on the strings, your fingertips pressing down on the area between the metal pieces. Do not go on top of the metal piece. Don't go on top of the fret. It'll hurt your fingertip. Keep it here. And press down so that your finger that is fretting a note only presses down on one string and doesn't lie down on the job and touch other strings it's not supposed to, because that'll mess up your sound and you don't want that. Excellent. Then we learned that a chord diagram is like a map that tells us where to put our fingers. And it matches up with this section of the neck and fretboard of the ukulele. Finally, I think after we practice switching chords a little bit, and we remembered that our fingers are numbered 1, 2, 3, and 4, we probably realized, maybe some of you realized that, wow, playing ukulele can actually be a challenge, which is great. It gives you a great challenge for your brain, for your body, for your heart. And it's a great instrument to learn to play. If you have any questions or comments, you can put them on my Google Classroom page. You can have your parents email me, or if you're one of my friends out in YouTube land that isn't actually one of my current students, just post a comment on the page here and I'm happy to get back to you if you need resources or anything like that. The booklet is in Class Drive. I will put a little video right after this that shows you how to get to it. Excellent. Have a great day and happy playing. Hey, all right. So I wanted to show you where to find the ukulele booklet that will be very helpful for you as you learn ukulele. So we're going to my Google Classroom. Oh, there I am. Ha ha ha. Ooh, all right. So we're going to go to classwork and class drive folder. If you go there, slowly but surely, as it opens up, you will find Voice Ukulele Booklet, which has a lot of very, very helpful things that'll help you to learn the instrument. Parts of the ukulele, how to hold it and how to strum it, a reminder of the names of the strings and how to read chord diagrams, a bunch of different chords you can learn, diagrams for chords you can learn, some basic songs, and even some more challenging stuff that I won't teach you quite yet, but that you could maybe even teach yourself. Enjoy.